Shanda Sharer was born on June 6, 1979, in Pineville, Kentucky. She was mostly described as a happy, fun-loving girl that was eager to make friends. She enjoyed sports such as basketball, softball, and cheerleading. During her early childhood, her mother would marry and divorce twice, which resulted in the family moving a lot. But in June of 1991, they moved to New Albany, Indiana, where Shanda attended Hazelwood Middle School. It was here where she met Amanda Heavrin. The two got into a fight, which resulted in both of them getting detention. But during that time, they formed a friendship, which eventually bloomed into a relationship. However, there was one problem. In October of that same year, Shanda and Amanda attended a school dance together where they were confronted by a girl named Melinda Loveless. Melinda was Amanda Heavrin's ex-girlfriend who she had recently broken up with. Jealous of Amanda's new relationship with Shanda, Melinda began threatening Shanda in and out of school from that point on. The threats got so bad, Shanda's mom ended up transferring her to the Our Lady of Perpetual Health Catholic School. And though Shanda and Amanda's relationship ceased, Melinda's jealousy did not. On the night of January 10, 1992, 16-year-old Melinda Loveless, along with 17-year-old Lori Tackett and 15-year-olds Hope Rippey and Tony Lawrence, drove to Shanda's house, where they lured her into a car saying that Amanda Heavrin wanted to meet her at Witch's Castle, a stone building in Utica, Indiana, where the teens would hang out. Once she was in the front seat and on the road, their real plan sprung into action. Armed with a knife, Melinda leaped from under a blanket in the back and put the knife to Shanda's throat. The group then drove to Witch's Castle, where they bound Shanda's hands and legs together with rope and tortured her with threats of cutting her hair, and Lori Tackett even burned a shirt saying that was going to be Shanda and how she was going to die. Fearing that the fire would gain the attention of passing cars, the girls then took Shanda to another area that was more isolated. By this time, Hope Rippey and Tony Lawrence were so frightened by the torture being done by Melinda Loveless and Lori Hackett that they stayed behind in the car. Melinda and Lori then told Amanda to strip naked, where Melinda started beating her up. She then tried to slash Shanda's throat, but the blade of the knife was too dull. By this time, Hope Rippey had joined the crew, where she held Shanda down, and at that moment, both Melinda and Lori took turns stabbing her. They then took a rope from the car and strangled Shanda to finish the job. But the worst was yet to come. Thinking Shanda was dead, they stuffed her in the trunk of the car and went to Lori's house to clean up. Little did they know, Shanda was still alive. Beating on the car and screaming, Lori Hackett then went out and stabbed Shanda a few more times. The girls then drove to a gas station where they bought a 2-liter bottle of soda, emptied it, and filled it with gas. They then drove north of Madison, Indiana to a place known to Hope Rippey, wrapped Shanda, who was still alive, in a blanket, took her out in the field, poured the gasoline on her, and set her on fire, burning her alive. But the story yet only gets worse, people, because not convinced that Shanda was completely dead, they then returned a few moments later, where Melinda poured more gas on Shanda and set her body on fire again. The group then went to McDonald's, where they ordered breakfast, where sources say that they joked about how the sausages they were eating looked like Shanda's burnt body. Later on that day, after dropping Tony Lawrence and Hope Rippey off, Melinda Loveless went to Amanda Heavrin and told her that she went through a plan of killing Sandra. Amanda didn't believe it at first until Lori showed her evidence in the trunk. Meanwhile, that same morning, Shanda's body was discovered by hunters, as well as Shanda's father filing a missing report to Shanda's disappearance. Things didn't come together until that night around 8:20 when Hope Rippey and Tony Lawrence went to the Jefferson County Sheriff and confessed to everything that had transpired that night. Once detectives matched Shanda's burnt body with her dental records, all 4 girls were arrested by January 12th. They were tried as adults despite their age, where they all eventually took plea bargains to avoid the death penalty. Tony Lawrence was sentenced to 20 years after pleading guilty of criminal confinement, but after serving 9 years, was released on parole on December 14, 2000. She is now a free woman. Hope Rippey was sentenced to 60 years at first, but after appeal due to arguments of mitigating circumstances, was reduced to 35 years. She was released on parole on April 28, 2006, where she spent the next 5 years on supervised parole. She is now a free woman. Lori Tackett was also sentenced to 60 years, but on January 11, 2018, just 26 years on the day she helped kill Shanda Sharer, she was released and is now a free woman. And finally, Melinda Loveless, the jealous, vindictive mastermind behind Shanda's brutal murder, was sentenced to 60 years. But on September 5th, 2019, and as much as it pains me to say this next line, she was released from prison and is now currently on parole. The reason why all 4 girls are as free as birds right now is because their lawyers argued that these girls had troubled histories of physical and mental abuse, when all in reality, this was all because a jealous 16-year-old teen had influenced 3 other girls to assist in getting rid of our arch rival. Another sad part about this whole entire story is that, according to Amanda Heavrin during a 2011 interview on Dr. Phil, she went to a youth prosecutor with evidence of Melinda Loveless's death threats, and they did nothing. That same show, Shanda's mother and sister, Jacqueline and Paige, they actually got a chance to confront Hope Rippey, where they tore into her greatly, and Hope, she understandably took it. Since then, Shanda's case made national news and inspired a lot of things. It was documented in 2 books, Little Lost Angel and one called Cruel Sacrifice, a play called Hazelwood Junior High, an episode titled Mean in Season 5 of Law & Order SVU, and it was featured on crime shows such as Cold Case, Killer Kids, and the 1990s, The Deadliest Decade. Shanda Renee Sharer was 12 years old when she was murdered. May she rest in peace. I'm Psycho Rick, saying until next time, thanks for watching.